The following is an audio program presented by HGH.TV and the Conscious Evolution Institute. The cardiovascular benefits of resveratrol. Although resveratrol offers a lot of exciting potential benefits in systems throughout the body, nowhere do these benefits offer keener prospects for long-term health and longevity than within the cardiovascular system. This article will discuss the body of scientific research in regard to resveratrol's effect upon the heart and the rest of the cardiovascular system. Resveratrol prevents arterial plaque from forming. One of the most dangerous diseases related to inflammation is atherosclerosis. This disorder is also referred to as the hardening of the arteries. In patients that suffer from this disorder, the arteries become clogged up with cholesterol, fat, white blood cells, and other substances, which stick to the cell walls and prevent the heart from pumping blood effectively. At a certain point, severe blockage can lead to heart attack, stroke, or death. One reason that atherosclerosis occurs is because tiny apparatus known as cell adhesion molecules encourage white blood cells to become stuck to the walls of the arteries. After these white blood cells become stuck, they promote inflammation within the sensitive tissue of the arteries. There is evidence that resveratrol can slow down the rate at which atherosclerosis occurs by limiting the ability of adhesion molecules to become activated. Atherosclerosis also changes the way that smooth muscle cells within the blood vessels function. As these muscles grow in response to damage, they increase the severity of the blockage. Preliminary research seems to suggest that resveratrol can limit this process in a laboratory setting. Resveratrol stimulates the production of nitric oxide by the cardiovascular system. Resveratrol has been shown to reduce blood pressure and increase freedom of blood flow by activating an enzyme known as endothelial nitric oxide synthase, abbreviated ENOS. Nitric oxide is one of the most important chemical messengers of the body. This gas is one of the primary agents which control blood flow, stimulating the arteries to open in a process known as vasodilation. Most cardiovascular ailments in aging men and women are related to high blood pressure and medical issues which occur in relation to high blood pressure. If the arteries are not producing a sufficient amount of nitric oxide, this prevents the arteries from functioning properly. If the arteries are not properly stimulated by nitric oxide, then the arteries will not open up properly to allow for optimal blood flow. The enzyme ENOS is directly responsible for nitric oxide production because the enzyme interacts with vascular endothelial cells, stimulating them to release nitric oxide, thereby controlling blood flow effectively through the body. Resveratrol has been shown to increase the receptivity of endothelial cells to ENOS stimulation. Resveratrol slows down platelet clotting. Blood clotting is incredibly important for health and healing, but in many patients, the blood begins to clot too readily, and this can cause major problems. A process known as platelet aggregation is among the initial steps of the clotting process, and in aging patients with cardiovascular complications, internal blood clotting can cause blockages in the arteries leading to both the brain and the heart. If blood clots block off or restrict normal blood flow to the brain or the heart, this leads to the conditions known as stroke and heart attack. There is laboratory evidence that resveratrol reduces the activity of platelet aggregation, reducing the size and danger resulting from persistent clots. It should be considered, however, that in the laboratory setting in which this research was performed, human cardiovascular cells were exposed to concentrations of resveratrol which were higher than the levels that would most likely be able to be achieved by taking resveratrol by mouth. This does not mean that benefits of consuming resveratrol offer no benefit, but the results displayed in vitro are likely more potent than those of oral ingestion in a human patient. Red wine, resveratrol, and your health. Researchers have long been aware that modest ingestion of alcohol has been correlated with a healthier cardiovascular system. And nowhere in the world is this more apparent than in the nation of France. France consumes more wine than perhaps anywhere else in the world, and also has one of the lowest incidences of heart disease in the world. Although this may already be surprising at face value, it is even more fascinating because a very high percentage of the French engage in smoking, and they also have a diet which is rich in saturated fat. Normally, smoking and saturated fat are correlated with increased levels of heart disease, but in France, some outside variable protects the body from these negative health choices wreaking havoc upon the body. In the scientific community, this is known as the French paradox. After decades of study, it seems that the consumption of alcohol, in particular red wine, has allowed the French to live healthier lives in spite of their vices. In recent years, it is becoming more and more widely believed that the resveratrol in red wine is the primary actor which safeguards the health of the French heart. In addition to resveratrol, red wine also contains a very high concentration of molecules known as flavonoids. Flavonoids share many health benefits with resveratrol. They are proven to reduce the effects of inflammation, while also safeguarding the body as potent antioxidants. There is also evidence that they support the health of the arteries in other ways that we have yet to fully understand. In a number of studies, it has been noted that patients that consume alcohol moderately, yet regularly, have a risk of heart disease that is 20 to 30% lower than individuals that do not consume alcohol at all. It is apparent that responsible alcohol consumption does have some beneficial effect upon the health, and also that flavonoids, as well as resveratrol, offer additional benefits in regard to cardiovascular health. In animal research, rodents experience cardiovascular improvement when exposed to red wine, even if the wine was non-alcoholic. In human patients, a recent study showed that consumption of concentrated polyphenols from red grapes, including resveratrol, had the immediate impact of improving nitric oxide release, stimulating healthier levels of vasodilation. Consider adding sources of resveratrol to your diet today. Although much of the research regarding resveratrol in the heart is preliminary, researchers are quickly realizing more about this wonderful compound on a yearly basis. One should not consider resveratrol a wonder drug that can solve all of these serious medical issues, but it is important to realize that increasing the level of resveratrol in your diet can improve your health and your heart